Let's talk a bit about groundwater. So a lot of us are working here in London. Imagine this is the South Downs and the North Downs, which means in the middle here is London. So London is built all the way up, and then we have the River Thames in the middle. So as it rains on the hills and the water goes into the soil. The soil has layers in it. The layers are different types of soil. We all know London clay, Thanet sands. Essentially, these different layers, water passes through at different rates. So imagine that there is a Thanet sand, so sand and shingle. So the water will pass through that very quickly. But it won't pass through the clay because the clay is quite solid and dense, and it takes a very long time for water to get through clay. In fact, the clay just absorbs it and swells. So we've got clay underneath the shingle. So the Thames is sat on the clay, moving along out to the sea. So now let's talk about when we're building buildings in these. Now we're going to build a basement through these layers. Here's our building. So we've got hydrostatic pressure coming down from the hill, trying to get to the Thames. Now, it's the same issue in nature as it is when we build. You have water passing through sands and shingles, and it doesn't pass through clay. So now if you dig a hole in the clay, it's going to behave the same as the Thames does. So water will pass through the layer and then want to fill this bucket up that you've just dug to be able to build your basement. So when you put your basement in it, that water is going to fill up all the outside here, kind of trying to want to push the basement out of the water. So by creating this depression in clay to put our basement in, we have then attracted water to the area that we're going to be building in. And this is what a lot of basements have problems with, because you can't cast that concrete all in one go so that it would float like a boat. There are always joints, typically wall to floor joints, that are often always underwater. And so it's those areas that we have to deal with when we're dealing with waterproofing. Plus, we have to deal with what's called percolated water, which is when it rains on these layers, that water will want to come around our basement. So it's not just the water table that we're dealing with percolated water, so water moving from one place to another. If we're building our basement at the top of a hill, that water is going to pass by very quickly and you're not going to have to deal with it. If you're building at the bottom, where that pressure builds up as it's trying to get to the Thames, you're going to have a lot more water around your basement. And the building here, you can get away with quite a lot of waterproofing materials, weaker materials that only have to deal with a small amount of pressure. If you're dealing with a basement in a high-risk area, then you're going to have to use some pretty good waterproofing to prevent that water from coming in. 60% of your body is water, and your building shouldn't be.